because I think the company today, it's called execution, and execution in Portuguese, it doesn't have that connotation that it has in English when you say execution is about killing people, right? So we are not in the business of killing people. We are in the business of executing good ideas. Okay, so everything that, a good idea, well executed, or executing good ideas is our territory of communication. I started in this advertising agency management business almost 40 years ago, which is a long time. And so I started my own agency in Brazil back in early 80s with a friend from university.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the One Away Show. Today's guest is Geraldo Roca, a pioneering force in Latin America's advertising landscape. From founding his first agency while still in law school to helping shape the global trajectory of brands at Ogilvy, New York, Geraldo's journey is one of relentless reinvention. In this episode, he shares the pivotal decisions that led him from Sao Paulo to Madison Avenue and back, the resilience it took to rebuild a company nearly lost to mismanagement, and the philosophy behind his current venture, Execution, a 140-person agency built on the belief that great ideas are only as good as their execution. This story is about vision, grit, and the belief that luck is really just preparation meeting opportunity. Let's get into it. Geraldo, welcome to the One Away Show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have another person who cares about communication, people, ideas with us today. Geraldo, you've had a pretty dynamic career from what you shared with me getting on the call. But I'd love to understand more about you and kind of your journey and some trajectory changing moments that have happened. I know you said that there's many things that I could speak about. So I'm curious, where would it make sense to start? What's an area, a moment that was very pivotal or trajectory changing for you, so we can start to learn a little bit more about you?
Okay, so I started in this advertising agency management business almost 40 years ago, which is a long time. And so I started my own agency in Brazil back in early 80s with a friend from university. Okay, and that I think was a pivotal moment because we were doing a law school and we decided to go into advertising. And the thing really boomed at that point in time. So eventually, so this was the first one because it took me away from law school and dove me into advertising. So then I sold this agency to my partner, which was not a very, it was an okay move. And then I joined Ogilvy, which at that time was the largest advertising agency in the world. And then I met the president of Ogilvy, and he invited me to come up to work in New York. That was another one, because at that point in time, in the mid 80s, there, even to call home was very expensive. There were no fax machines. I watched the first fax machine at Ogilvy's headquarters at 48th Street in New York City. So the only way for you to understand a different market was to be there. And then I went to New York and I worked in New York for 3 years, which was very nice. And then after that, I came back to Brazil and I started as a director for one of the Ogilvy companies, but that lasted only for 2 or 3 years. Then I started my own agency. That soon became what it was called Geraldo Azevedo, which is my surname. And then we ended up opening offices in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. And then in 2000, I sold this agency, which was another moment in my life because I became an executive again, running part of the company that bought my company, and for 5 years. And then I didn't get along with this executive life. I mean, just like you, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then I bought equity at a company that a friend of mine was starting. It was called Neogama BBH, that was associated to BBH in London, which at that time point in time, that was back in 2005, was probably the sexiest advertising agency in the world. And then we made a very nice story with the Neo Gamma. And eventually we sold it in 2011. That was a very other important moment because I had to be out of the media management and advertising business for a few years due to the non-compete. And then during that time, I went to work for a very large live entertainment company here in Brazil that is associated to Live Nation. And so we did big concerts, festivals such as Lollapalooza, Rolling Stones, and Pearl Jams, and all that. And then I came back, setting up this new company, which is Execution. That was 7 years ago. And the way it's called Execution is that we believe in executing good ideas. So it's about having good ideas and making sure that they get very well executed. So and nowadays we have 130 people, and we handle brands such as Samsung and a few other Brazilian brands such as Bradesco or Manimbi, or a few local brands. So this is it. This is basically my career in a 30-second overview.
Great. Show's done. We're good. No. No, thank you. This is great. So, thank you for the overview. It's really helpful. I can kind of dive into different things that you shared. So, I mean, it seems like you've had a very consistent through line from the advertising, media, brand, events background. But you made a switch from law school. So I'm just curious, what was it about, marketing and brand and agency life, or, the idea of kind of what you were stepping into that kind of appealed to you in the first place?
I think when you were in your early 20s, okay, the drive of the decision, the driver of your decisions, life decisions, they can come from anywhere. They can come from a life that you envisioned for yourself. They can come from an insatisfaction that you have with your college. They can come from a friend. In my case, in my early 20s, it was just because I think it was more sexy than law. So becoming a lawyer. So I think it was, I thought at that time, it was much nicer to be in events and advertising and all that than to be a lawyer. So I think this was basically the main driver for the decision. It was not something that was very well thought of. And then I didn't go back to the university, to college, because I got this invitation to work in New York. Then when I was about to go back, I said, I received this invitation. So, screw law school and let's live the life, right? And take another path. Yeah. That's more or less how it happened.
Yeah. Well, and just out of curiosity, I mean, like growing up, like where was it? Like parents are like, hey, law school, kind of a safe kind of bet, kind of go do that and then kind of figure it out. Like, and no?
No, I had that. I was completely free to make my own decision. So there was no strings attached to parents or family or things like that. I was not married. So it was very, it was very easy to just say, take the leap. Let's put it this way.
Free bird, you could go for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you went to Ogilvy was sorry, if I heard you correctly, Ogilvy was the first job, job, or was there something that preceded Ogilvy?
There was when I was at law school, I founded a company, an advertising company with a partner, and but it lasted for 2 years only. And then he wanted to buy my share in the company. It was a very small company, didn't even, make any difference in the market. And then I said, okay. And the reason I said okay was because I was already talking to a guy that I knew that he had just sold his company to Ogilvy at that time. And then he was talking to me to join Ogilvy. And so I said, okay, to my former partner in my very, very small agency. I said, take it, for almost no money at all. And then I joined Ogilvy, which was one of the best, very best things I did at that time, because Ogilvy was a booming agency all over the world, mainly in Brazil. And through that movement, I had the chance to be invited to come up to work in New York, which I think that at that point in time was not very common, you know, mainly for a kid in his early 20s that didn't speak any, decent English. So it was an interesting movement.
Uh, yeah. So you saw, like you said, right? Your company, it wasn't making this meaningful mark, but it was, a good learning experience. You sold it, your shares, and then you joined a thriving, Ogilvy, premier brand. I mean, I'd say still to this day to a degree, right? So, you saw the, let's say, inside of a beast and kind of the golden age of the company, it sounds like, or, one of the golden ages. And what, when you look at that experience and you look at, hey, what are some of the things that you look back on and say, Ogilvy did this so well. This was, world class. That you maybe have applied to, the next set of businesses and experiences that you've got pursued.
Um, I think it was a wonderful opportunity that appeared to me because if you can imagine, Brazil has always been, a third world country in some way. It's a country that it's not really significant for a few things, despite the fact that it's a big country and all that. So advertising, on the other hand, after the 80s, in the mid 90s and in 2000s, was from Brazil, is very respected and recognized worldwide. So I think the combination that I was in an industry that was thriving in Brazil, and I had this opportunity to go up to New York uh, to work in the largest advertising agency at the time. And I even met that long tail from Mad Men. Okay. So my boss, he had a corner office. And in his corner office, he had one of those, small fridges. And so at the end of the day, we were drinking whiskey and all that. I said, this is the life. I was born for this kind of life. So that was an interesting moment. And I think I was very blessed to have received this invitation at that point in time. I think that was very nice.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you created an opportunity for yourself that, given Brazil as a country and like you said, like where it kind of stood and kind of what it was known for, being third world, but you're able to kind of sounds like move yourself, kind of skip the line into like the first world more or less and kind of see that firsthand and then get to New York, which seems like an incredible experience that maybe others similar to you kind of back home maybe weren't just getting on planes to go to New York to work at Ogilvy. So,
And when I came back, interestingly enough, when I came back, all the doors opened to me because I've had this experience of almost 3 years, in the place where advertising was happening.
When you say doors open, I want to go back to the Ogilvy experience. I have a question, but when you say you came back from New York and doors open to you, like in what sense?
In all senses. I mean, I was invited to speeches, to talk, I was regarded as being a guy who had just came back from the Mecca of advertising and have worked at the largest advertising agency in the world. So for 3 years, which was a very important thing at that point in time. So I had access to clients, to invitations, to everything, and the thing really changed from as soon as I came back. That was interesting.
Well, yeah, it's special. Now, I mean, it doesn't sound like this was all luck and this was all just, you got lucky, you got, the jobs, like there's a self-starterness to you for sure. But like, where did, and then you talked about the president, you worked it sounds like he called you in. You've worked pretty closely with him at Ogilvy. Like um, this like sounds like insatiable drive and curiosity. Like it's always kind of been with you, perhaps, or you've always been kind of looking at things and kind of seeing opportunities. Like, how did you go about developing that?
And Bryan, no, you're back. You're back.
Well, where did you lose me?
No, I lost you in the beginning of your question.
Got it. So, I mean, I'm noticing this trend, right? I don't think any of this is luck. I mean, sure. I mean, it sounds like there's been a lot of hard work, like, bringing curiosity, kind of seeking out different opportunities, like really kind of throwing yourself into things. Where did that kind of spirit come from for a drive for, curiosity, maybe a better life? Like how was that instilled into you because it's just like you've been able to progress and progress, at every single kind of checkpoint, not without, I'm sure, hardship and failures and things along the way, but there's a through line here. And I'm just curious kind of how that was born in you or instilled to ultimately enable some of the things you've been able to do.
That's a very interesting question. I think I've always had this curiosity, and I think the basis for any learning experience is for you to be curious about something, learning more, understanding more, going further, or something like that. So I think this was a very important time. But again, luck is a mixture between opportunity and preparation, right? There is, no, it's not luck if you're not, the opportunity appears and you're not well prepared, right? So opportunity is not up to you to control, but preparation is. So I think I was always prepared for the opportunities when they appeared to me. So when I said that, for instance, the president of Ogilvy came to Brazil, I made myself visible to him. He knew who I was. So we had the chance to talk, despite the fact that I was very young. I was like in my early 20s, So that was very interesting. And then that ended up, okay, this interaction with him for a week ended up in the invitation. Hey, Geraldo, would you like to come working for me in the US? I said, what? So I think, and that's more or less about that. It's more or less about seeing the opportunities because we all have, different opportunities in our lives, right? It's about choosing the ones you take and the ones you let go, right? I think this is an important decision, and we make the decision, several times every day. And I think I was at this point in time in professional terms, I lost several opportunities to do things in a different way. But the way I chose to do the things, they worked out fine for me. So I think I made myself visible. I was there at the right time. And I put a lot of effort to make sure that I rewarded well the people that gave me the opportunity. I praise myself today for being a very good friend of all my former partners, all of them, all my former employees. So I think I've been this people part of the path is very important as well.
Totally. Something that, I mean, there's still a few things in that, you've handled relationships super well. There's been certain opportunities you've taken and not taken, and that seems to be intentional. But then also you said something to really create opportunities. You have to make yourself visible to the people who can give you those opportunities. And it seems like that was an intentional act with that president at Ogilvy to make yourself visible on his radar, right?
Yes.
And my question to you is, like, how did you go, it seems like just very emotionally intelligent at a younger age. Like, what were you doing to make yourself visible? So when there was an opportunity, you were there to be, to capitalize on it.
I think that has to do with understanding. First of all, it has to be true. You cannot fake, an intention to do something. You can, but that won't last long, right? So I think the most important thing is that if you want to connect with someone, regardless if it's in a business way or personal way or whatever, it's very important for you to understand what that person is about, right? So when you understand what that person is about, it's much easier to understand how to connect. And he was about, understanding Brazil, understanding the culture, understanding the place, and understanding how business were done. And so I had the chance to show him, you know, around what it was, how people behaved, and all that. We have meaningful conversations. So I think that that point in time, he saw in that young 20s, early 20s guy, someone that could help him take his business global in a more mature way in terms of asking the right questions. So I think he saw in me someone that could help him, despite the fact that he was the president, I was just an account executive, not even that, he could see in me that someone that could add some value to the table. And I think it's all about that. And from there, it's just up to you to make all the necessary efforts, yeah, to make yourself more relevant every time, right?
Yeah. Just writing down some things. Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I know we're kind of getting off track and kind of going around, which is kind of nice and fun, but something uh, there seems to be this also as well, or what I'm picking up on, I could be wrong, but there's this perceptiveness to you. Like you're talking about making yourself visible, building the relationships, asking questions, but like that's allowing, like you can kind of like through that, like you've been able to kind of see different opportunities to make a choice on, hey, like, should we go down this path or that, or bring strategic kind of questions and thoughts to help somebody else advance their agenda. Is that something that's organic to you, right? In the sense of like, hey, this just kind of happens, or is it, hey, there's this kind of, I can always go into something to like kind of follow this playbook, right? Like, I'm just curious, is this like, it seems more organic, but it seems like it's natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, it's natural. It's effortless. So I don't have to make any additional effort to providing that I connect, that's for real, then I don't have to make any additional efforts to go down that path. I know people who are very well skilled in terms of, thinking strategies on how to do, how to approach, how to, to me, it's kind of, it just flows. And I think that's the beauty of it. To my, I think this was a very important personal asset that helped me to build this path on this, 35, 37 years in the business or something like that.
Sure. Geraldo, when you look at your career and your trek of experiences, I'd love to know, what has been some of the harder professional moments, or one of the hardest things that you've maybe never thought you'd get through, that you where it all felt like it was falling apart, or just what kind of comes to mind when I ask you that?
Yeah, when I had that company, Rocha Azevedo, that I told you about. When I came back to Brazil after my 3 years in New York, I joined one of Ogilvy's company for 2, 3 years. And then I left and I started my own agency. This agency grew a lot. And so we opened offices we were the largest promotional marketing events and not digital, but we had a direct mail agency in South America. So we had offices in Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. And then I had a partner at that time. Okay, and this partner, he was uh, not that he was robbing the agency, but we almost went bankrupt. Okay, let's put it this way: due to a mismanagement of one of my partners, and so we faced. I personally, I faced a very difficult moment, and at that moment, I had two options. You know, just let the company go bankrupt, okay, which was on the verge of going bankrupt. We were all, huge debts, fiscal debts, everything. Or I had the option to do an all in, you know, take all my possessions, all my money, everything I had, you know, invest in the company, believing that it would thrive again. Okay. And that's what I did. So I got all my assets, everything I had, and I made an all in, you know. So for a few years, like 5, 6 years, you know, I did nothing else but work, you know, and in order to rebuild the business, the foundations of the business, and it paid off. In 2001, I think we sold this business. So I think took me like 4 or 5 years to rebuild that, but it was a very good move. But that was some very tough 2 to 3 years, very tough. Things I didn't know every day. I had that feeling that it could not work. You know, sometimes I felt overwhelmed with all this pressure. But so there was one thing, if I can take from that moment, was resilience. You know, just keep going. And that's how I did it. And I think this was one of the most difficult moments in the career.
Yeah, totally. I will relate a lot to what you shared, maybe for an offline conversation. But that's incredible and very inspiring. Can I ask? Can I dig into that? Are you willing to
Oh,
share?
yes. Oh,
How
no
much
limits. Just,
how much debt was on the business?
I think it was about, at that point in time in Brazil, we had a different currency.
Yeah.
Today we have the Brazilian reais. At that time in place, I think it was cruzados or something, but I think it was like three, I think it was like almost 10 times our EBITDA, our earnings before taxes.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, you went all in and you put everything into it. I mean, were there moments of panic? Like how what did you do? Like when your back was against like talk to me about the panic or the fear. Like how did you overcome that? I mean, obviously you had to be resilient through it, but those moments they're real.
Working. That's my only thing, because the only buoy I have, or the only compass to navigate that turbulent seas that I was in, was the fact that I knew something about the business, and I had the confidence of few clients that we could deliver good work, and then the thing eventually started to turn around. And then we started to get a few more clients. Our work started to get recognized, and that brings another other clients. So you get into this virtual, upside spiral. So I think that was it. But of course, there were moments, that you don't sleep, that you think about what's going to happen the next day or something like that. So it's a tough moment, and I'm glad it happened when I was very young, that I had all the health and resources, to deal with it. right? So I think, and again, there is a very famous quote from, I don't know if it's from Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, that they say, you know, pity that who pity the guy who didn't have a struggle in his life because to him was denied the opportunity to experience his limits or to prove himself or something like that. So I think it's about that as well. No?
Like you've had the experience to like face your demons.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, no doubt about
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. There's a lot of businesses that go belly up. And it's the easy way, or it's just the way it has to be. Just to build on what you said, I'll have to send it to you if you haven't read it. It's called The Struggle, by
it.
Ben Horowitz. And one of the key takeaways is like, there's always a way. Like there's always a way. And I think, yeah. So as you're talking, I'm getting some chills, but like every, that sticks with me like all the time. Like there's always a way, and I think it's
There's
just
always a
finding.
way. There is always a way where you thought there was no way.
Yeah, totally. When you talked about something about belief, right? Like let's go back to that moment. We can evolve, and I want to talk a bit about what you built today. 'Cause it's like a great company, and love the mission or the tagline you told me at the beginning, about ideas and execution. But how do you think when your back is up against the wall and you have belief, how does belief help shape the reality of the future? Or how did you use belief to help drive? Obviously, there's hard work and working as you said, buoy to kind of anchor you, but how did belief also support you kind of resurrecting the company?
Very interesting question. Very interesting question. I've never been asked this question before, but I think I have a lot of faith and faith, belief, call it whatever you want. But, and I've always thought and I saw the outcome that I wanted, up to the point where sometimes I'm too optimistic. But I think for you to be an entrepreneur, one of the first checkpoints, okay, is that you must be optimistic. You must believe in yourself and that you're going to do that. Otherwise, you don't even start, right? So I think this is the first checkpoint to be an entrepreneur. And when I had my back against the wall and I didn't have anything to do, I said, what can I do? And I always something came up in order for you to do and start doing. I've always started doing things, not too much planning, but more, hands-on and start doing that. And then things have started to, change. But you've got to do. I think that's the most important thing.
If you're a founder looking to grow without raising capital or giving up control, Reinvent is built for you. Founded by entrepreneurs who've scaled without outside funding, Relent helps companies find and retain talent, lower operational costs, and reinvest in growth. We've hired nearly 10 team members through Relent and streamlined our entire cost structure, freeing up capital to put toward what matters most. Even small teams can set up offshore operations quickly, compliantly, and without heavy infrastructure. With deep expertise in the India-US corridor, Relent combines cultural fluency with operational rigor and guides everything from team design to long-term scaling. Grow on your terms and start with Relent. To learn more, visit relent.team/arcbound. I love that. There was someone I worked with years ago in the performance space, and I used to get kind of locked up like in my mind, and like I remember there was this like quote we took her this like to your point. It's like when that kind of when you freeze up a little bit, like it was always the moments of doing to like unblock. And so like whenever I kind of freeze up, it's like, okay, what are the actions I can take to like unblock? And it's just like, just do, right? So to your point, I mean, I said at the beginning of the call, we might be more similar than we know. And I think there might be a lot of truth to that. Anyhow, so no, I've really appreciated your genuine answers. And this has been really awesome. Let's keep going. So the company that you're building today, can you please tell us, for those that don't know the company, can you please also share that line that you shared, or the mission kind of statement around kind of what you believe? And let's talk about the companies you're supporting and all the different things that you're up to. But I would love for you to ground the conversation for us.
Yes, I think the company today, it's called execution, and execution in Portuguese, it doesn't have that connotation that it has in English when you say execution is about killing people, right? So we are not in the business of killing people. We are in the business of executing good ideas. Okay, so everything that a good idea, well executed, or executing good ideas is our territory of communication. So what do you have? We have very creative people here. We have 140 people, more or less, at the agency today. And we handle one or two international accounts, such as Samsung in Brazil, and a few other Brazilian clients, relevant Brazilian clients. And we do advertising, we do planning, we do creative, we do media planning and buying, online, offline. We do all the digital, we do all the content, meaning social network. We have a production house inside that helps us to produce movies and films for social networks and things, and even for online things. But I think what differentiates us in the market is that I'm there, so the owner is present. That's an important thing, and we have a good balance between experience and young passion. So I would say that among our people here, 20% are people with a good experience in the market, so they know how to do the business, and we have a lot of young people, driving energy and passion and things into what we do. And really, the proposal of the agency is to execute good ideas. So idea is nothing if it's not well executed. So we have idea people and we have execution. So the combination of these two things, it's a must, either for artist or musician or whatever. Right? The guy has to be the craft to execute, has to have the craft to execute well, but he must be creative on what he's doing. Otherwise, it's not going to thrive.
Totally. I heard you also saying in that. So first off, I love the just kind of the orientation of the company and kind of how brands think of you when they work with you. But also, so Blair, she's the woman on our team. She runs our client services, strong operator. But she always talks about, for us, right? I'd say it's probably similar perhaps to what you're saying, the balance of, creatives, right? And ideas and people kind of bringing it all to life versus like the operators and kind of executing kind of the spreadsheets and just the functional pieces that need to get done. So for my question is for a company, you said like 150 people. Is that what you said? For a company of your size, how is the orientation or structure of the company from kind of creatives, right? Kind of bringing it life to like the business side, right? Or the kind of the operation side, kind of what's the construct of the business to ensure that these ideas are executed properly?
Yes, I think this is never ending job to do, right? There is no magic, something to make it happen. But I believe that it all begins with the leadership. So you must have a leadership that believes in this, that share the same beliefs, right? And through this leadership, you can start hiring the good people. It's all about people. So you must have the good people that share the same beliefs, right? And understanding. And I am here every day. You know, I talk to everyone. I spend my time, 5% of my time, I spend managing the business, side, financials and things like that. You know, then I spend like 30% of my time with people, internal people, you know. Then I spend another 25% of my time with my existing clients.
Mm.
Right? I talk to them, I understand what their pains are. I'm available for them 24/7, really. Right. And all the rest, I think it's new business and making sure that the company grows in relevance and things like that. So I think this combination, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
show people where we're going. I'm very clear on what we want to accomplish. And the company is beginning in this past few years to get you know, some good air. So people want to work with us, clients want to come to us. So we are beginning that good momentum, right? Of
Yeah.
building a good momentum. So I'm very happy. I'm very proud with what we have accomplished so far.
Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome. And it sounds like you can not only see it, you can feel it, you can see there's
Yeah.
a brighter future ahead. On that note, you know, you said you're very clear, where is execution in the next 3 to 5 years? Kind of what does the company look like and how is it different from how it is today?
Today, we are working with clients with budgets a little under 30 to 40 million reais, which is roughly $10 million, right? So I want to get larger clients, on $100 million, investment a year, $50 million, $40 million investments. In order to do that, I have to always raise the bar in terms of creativity, strategic planning, and all that. And agencies, they're like a stair. So if you climb one step, with your creative guys, then the media guys, they get behind. So you have to climb the media guys, right? And then the account management team is right on this one. So you have to invest in them and they climb up. And then when you look, the creative are here. So, and the strategic planning. So you have to invest in the strategic. It's always like that, until you get to a point where you're still doing the same thing. So I think in these next few years, what we're going to do is keep, qualifying the people, keep training, keep hiring people, nicer people, that you feel comfortable with. And that's it, to operate the business. I think this is one of the most important things that we can do.
For sure. I love the analogy of kind of growing different sides and catching different sides up to one another, and that's also relatable or speaks to me as well. But I think
that's nice. That's very much true. Speaks to everyone. Everyone who's been an entrepreneur has been there because we said, well, I have to work on this, and then it's always about that. It's about making sure that the people who work in your company try to do their best because they want to be worthy of the respect of the people working right behind them or right, by their side because they respect those people. So they want to be perceived as peers, So you must have the best people.
got it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's like you really care. I mean, what's one of the biggest kind of through lines I'm gathering or learned through the years is it's entrepreneurs who really invest internally, right? Invest into the people, the team, and each other. One of our core values we just reinstated is called each other, really about being there for one another. But I think it's a through line that, I'm noticing, right? When companies that really can grow and scale and really build that magic to be great. So it's like you're focused on being great, or you maybe already are, but world class, and doing what it takes to get there. So,
Very nice.
yeah. Geraldo, before we wrap, I mean, is there anything I haven't asked, or something exciting project you're working on you want to mention, or are you content with where we've landed?
No, I think this was a delicious conversation.
Delicious.
It was very smooth, very nice. I felt very good, and it's just about talking a little bit about our beliefs and what we intend to do. I think this is very, very interesting. I really enjoyed, and
Oh,
I think this was very nice. To me, it was very nice.
great. Well, likewise, I share the experience with you. I would also agree. Well, thank you for making time. I've been wanting to get to Latin America. I've been wanting to get to Argentina for the last few years. My best friend lives in Brazil from high school, so yeah, he did a mission trip in Sao Paulo, and then he ended up marrying a Brazilian woman and just stayed down there. So I'm overdue for a trip. So I'll have to let you know if I make it down here in the next year or two. But yeah, I loved it. Thanks so much for doing this. Where can people find you? Reach out.
At www.execution.net.
Amazing. Well, thank you. We'll
My email is there right at the bottom of the website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of The One Away Show. Geraldo's story reminds us that transformation often begins with a bold pivot, from law school to advertising, from crisis to clarity, from local agency founder to international executive. What stood out most was his belief in staying visible, staying prepared, and leading with presence. Whether you are navigating a professional setback or building the next chapter of your career, his journey is a powerful testament to resilience and reinvention. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or colleague who could use a reminder that there's always a way, especially when you're willing to bet on yourself.